three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
So, good morning, everyone. We are going to wait 5 more minutes and then we'll start the opening ceremony. Thank you for your patience. So, we are also facing some small issues on internet. Me dire, la personne pas entendait. Okay, so we are also facing some small issues with the internet, but it will be very shortly repaired. So, good morning, everyone. I am Vimala Turon, the head of external relation of Afrinic, and I shall be your master of ceremony for this opening ceremony. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to Afrinic 25 public policy meeting and to Mauritius. I hope you have been enjoying so far, and as from today, the plenary will be starting until Wednesday. So, as you all know, Afrinic public policy meetings are held twice a year. The Afrinic meeting is held during the Africa Internet Summit around June, and we have another meeting gathering our members and all stakeholders in the Internet ecosystem also in November. So, without any further ado, I'll ask the chair of the board of Afrinic, Mr. Sunday Folayan, to give his speech.
Honorable Minister, Communications, Technology and Innovation, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Ruba Morgan, members of the Internet community, esteemed guests, members of the Afrinic community, ladies and gentlemen. Our sincere appreciations go to His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Communication, Technology and Innovation, Etienne Sinatambo, for gracing this occasion by representation. We are deeply humbled and honored by your support of our organization and this meeting. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome you all to this beautiful island of Mauritius and to this 25th edition of the Afrinic meeting dubbed Afrinic 25. I am delighted to welcome our friends from the other 4 regional registries, namely ARIN, RIPE, LACNIC, and APNIC. Our organization, Afrinic, is the regional internet registry for Africa and the Indian Ocean. We are a not-for-profit membership organization managing the registration and distribution of internet number resources, IPv4, IPv6, and autonomous systems numbers throughout the 57 economies in our region. In addition to our core business, we play a leading role in capacity building, and we are providing training and support for infrastructure development throughout the continent. Afrinic also runs a successful grants and award program, FIRE Africa, which provides financial assistance, training, and mentoring to facilitate ICT-related solutions to the unique problems faced by our communities. Our community is spread throughout Africa and beyond, many of whom have made it here to our home of Mauritius, or who are participating in this week's activities online. It is delightful, ladies and gentlemen, that Afrinic has a membership of 1,430 with over 40 dedicated staff and a committed board of directors. I am indeed fortunate to lead this special breed of people who think of this continent first. In 2016 alone, Afrinic distributed approximately 10,650,000 addresses, IPv4 address space, over 74/32s and 30/48s of IPv6 address space and 158 autonomous system numbers. Our membership grew by 158, and it is you, the community, that defines the policies by which Afrinic distributes internet number resources throughout our region. We have several important policy proposals to discuss this week, many of which refer to how we as an organization will manage Afrinic's impending IPv4 exhaustion. Others refer to the much discussed topic of IPv4 address space transfers both in and out of our region. For our newcomers and new entrants, I urge you all to familiarize yourselves with the proposals being discussed and bring your views and voice to the table during the open policy session on Tuesday. Let me quickly acknowledge that there has also been a lot of discussions in recent times by the membership on various issues bordering on governance and transparency. Over the last year, the board has worked hard to improve the way it conducts its business. The commitment to better transparency on the workings of the board is what led to the minutes of board meetings being published online and for public access. In response to the request of the community, the Afrinic Governance Committee has been established and will be constituted for the first time during this meeting. You will be electing your representatives to this committee during the special general members meeting taking place on Wednesday. I sincerely appreciate all those who worked tirelessly to get this committee up and running. The board will continue to seek enhancements that will make our organization efficient. I cannot end without appreciating our sponsors. Please, distinguished members, guests, join me to thank Oracle, Internet Society, Mauritius Telecom, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, CCOM, ZACR, Rogers Capital, MTEL, and Ariel Malek Technologies. Without your generosity, we will not be able to hold this series of events that make up Afrinic 25. In concluding, I'd like to remind us that with the training sessions now behind us, we will be heading into the Afrinic 25 plenary sessions. The agenda is packed with technical presentations, industry updates, and policy discussion sessions. Please, ladies and gentlemen, work very hard, but do not forget to enjoy the beautiful beaches and the warm hospitality of the wonderful people of Mauritius. Afrinic! Afrinic! C'est fini.
Thank you, Chair. I'll now call the CEO of Afrinic, Mr. Alan Barrett.
I now call Mr. Alan Your Excellency, the Honorable Permanent Secretary of the Minister of Technology, Communication and Innovation, Mrs. Ruba Morgan, dignitaries, esteemed guests, Afrinic members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Afrinic 25. Welcome to the beautiful island of Mauritius. I know it's been a long journey for many of you, and I hope that you will take some time to relax, to explore this beautiful place. My thanks to the Ministry and all our sponsors for their support. Now, as almost all of you will know, Afrinic holds 2 meetings per year, and this meeting at the end of the year is the smaller of the 2. Usually these meetings in November focus on public policy development, but this year we also have some other important topics on the agenda. As the chairman of the board has told you, we have elections for the first members of the newly formed governance committee, and we have several proposed changes to the bylaws. These will be discussed on Wednesday. We also have several side events over the past few days. We've held training on several topics. We've hosted discussions about Afrinic participation in the IETF. We've talked about internet security. Now, much of today will be dedicated to technical presentations. We have several interesting topics lined up, and almost all of Tuesday will be for policy discussions. These policy discussions are open to all. I'd like to emphasize that the members of Afrinic and the community make the policies. Wednesday, as I said, will be for the election and the bylaw discussions. Now, this is the first Afrinic meeting that we're holding after the end of the very successful IANA oversight transition. On the 1st of October 2016, the IANA functions contract between the NTIA, a part of the United States Department of Commerce, and ICANN. That contract expired, and now the IANA numbering services, which Afrinic relies on, is being performed under a contract, which we're calling an SLA, directly between the RIRs, the Regional Internet Registries, and ICANN, instead of under a contract with the NTIA. For our operational team here at Afrinic, it's business as usual. Very little changes. We still deal with the same people in the same way. We expect the same level of service. There are a few small changes in the way reports are done. Afrinic members of other RIRs, and end users around the world should have noticed no changes at all, except some press releases and discussions in public forums. But in the real operations are still going on, business as usual. The important change then is that the oversight of the IANA functions is now in the hands of the communities that rely on the IANA functions. And we divide the community into 3 parts: names, numbers, and protocol parameters. Now, the numbers part of that is the regional internet registries, including Afrinic, dealing with IPv4 numbers, IP version 6 numbers, and autonomous system numbers. I'd like to take a moment to thank the members of our community who have worked so hard over 2 years to ensure that our needs were met and that our community's opinion was expressed. Afrinic was directly represented on the CRISP team by Jean Verungulai, Mwendwa Kavuva, and Ernest Bioranga. Thank you very much for all your work in ensuring that the IANA transition was successful. And it wasn't only them. There were many others from our community, people whose names and faces you will recognize from seeing them around Afrinic meetings over the years, that worked in several other committees dealing with the IANA functions transition. So thank you all. Afrinic remains the only RIR that still has a supply of IP version 4 addresses and that is able to distribute them under the traditional needs-based policies. Now, all the other RIRs have reached exhaustion or have implemented some kind of austerity measures which make it much more difficult to get IP addresses. Afrinic is likely to reach the final block of 16 million addresses, what we call a /8, very likely early next year. A year ago, I was predicting that it might be this year. I was probably wrong. It's now looking as though it'll be early next year. When that happens, we have a policy which we call the soft landing policy, which changes the rules, changes the mechanisms by which ISPs will be able to get their IP numbers. And we have several policy proposals to be discussed during this meeting, and two of those are dealing with changes to exactly how we will deal with the running out of IP version 4. I'd like to remind everybody that it is you, the community, who decides how Afrinic distributes IP address space. You don't have to be an Afrinic member. You don't have to be physically present in this room. You don't even have to live in Africa. Anybody is able to contribute to our discussions of the policies that we use to distribute IP addresses and autonomous system numbers. So if you could not make it to Mauritius, we still welcome your participation on the mailing list or through our remote participation tools. So we're running out of IP version 4. It's becoming more and more important to deploy IP version 6. And apart from the minor technical differences that in how the protocols and software works, the really important difference is in the size of the address space. IP version 4 has a total of about 4 billion addresses, and not all of those are usable in ordinary ways. And obviously that's not enough to serve a world population closer to 7 billion. So IP version 6 allows very many large networks per person, thousands of networks per person, millions and billions of IP addresses per person. So we have to deploy IP version 6. The Afrinic training team travels the entire continent, training engineers on how to deploy IPv6, and we plan to do even more of that next year. Today there will be several presentations on IP version 6 and on the state of our region's deployment. I encourage all network operators to offer IP version 6 service to your members. I encourage all businesses to make sure that your public information, such as your website, is available over IP version 6. And the good news is that for end users, you don't have to do anything. As soon as your internet service provider or your office network provides IP version 6, your phone or your laptop will automatically start using it, assuming you bought it within the last few years. If you're connected to the Afrinic Wi-Fi network right now, you're probably using IP version 6, possibly without even being aware of it. Really, it's that easy for end users. You just don't have to worry. Now, thanks again to all our sponsors for their continued support and generosity. We could not run these meetings without the support of the sponsors whose names and logos you see up there. Thank you to the Ministry of TCI for your support. We greatly appreciate your presence here. Thank you to the Afrinic staff who've worked very hard over several months putting this meeting together. Thank you to the hotel for the beautiful facilities. Thank you to our translators, the little voices in your ears when you put those headsets on. We have simultaneous translation into English and French throughout this meeting. So those of us like me whose French is really bad can still understand speakers who are speaking in French. Dignitaries, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us here in Mauritius. I hope you will work hard. I hope you will not only work, I hope you will also take some time to enjoy yourselves. I wish you all a productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. I'll now call Mrs. Rupa Morgan, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Technology, Communication and Innovation of Mauritius.
Mr. Barrett, Chief Executive Officer of Afrinic, Mr. Sunday Folayan, Chairman Afrinic, members of Internet and Afrinic community, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very glad to be here this morning on the occasion of the opening of the 25th meeting of Afrinic in Mauritius. At the very start, I would like to present the apology of my minister, who even if he wanted to come here, he's taken up with his commitment right now. And I'm here to, it devolves on me to read his speech this morning. I understand that this regional multi-stakeholder conference is a regular event. And I understand from previous presentation that it is the fifth one here, which provides a forum for the Africa ICT business and technical community to discuss regional and global ICT best practices, as well as the issues and challenges of internet operations in Africa and beyond. And I understand that the Afrinic aims at capacity building as well, and there are some training sessions which have been going on for technical engineers in order for the shift to the IPv4 to 6. Let me tell you a bit about Mauritius. Mauritius is continually reinventing itself by leveraging its strategic position at the crossroad of Africa, Asia, Australia. It is transforming itself into a hub, an international jurisdiction for investors in search of security. I understand you had training on security as well, transparent regulation, and high value addition. Ladies and gentlemen, the economic vision 2030 of the government of Mauritius. We have the government program 2015 to 2019 and the last budget speech of government. We all aim at transforming the ICT industry into a key sector of the economy by fostering innovation and creativity and developing a sustainable, high value-added sector that will provide more accessible and higher value opportunities for Mauritian citizens and in the region as well. In fact, this strategic vision revolves around four main objectives. Namely, the first one, it is the creation of high-end state-of-the-art technopoles and incubators. Secondly, development of a techno-entrepreneurship culture. Thirdly, migrations toward high-end activities. And fourthly, the transformation of Mauritius into a smart island based on four focus priorities: ecological sustainability, digital connectivity, economic competitiveness, and live, work, and play concept. So far, Mauritius has been successfully developing the ICT BPO capabilities through investment in infrastructure, capabilities building, intelligence, and innovation. With some 700 ICT BPO-based enterprises, the country has one of the richest technology ecosystem in Africa that thrives on innovation and collaboration across sectors. The industry, which currently employs over 17,000 professionals, is being increasingly leveraged as a value-based added destination. The rapid growth of technology is seeing a wave of new opportunities, which Mauritius is perfectly positioned to exploit, among which there are the digital services, analytics and big data, apps, content and mobility, cloud services, financial technology, Internet of Things, biotechnology, and nanotechnology. Let me just give you a brief on what we are doing right now. Firstly, setting up of technoparks. Technoparks will be set up to host incubators for startup in the ICT BPO sector, as well as services oriented towards SMEs like 3D printing technology facilities. SMEs may then develop new products and services in manufacturing, medical services, and so around the 3D printing technology. The creation of an ultra high-speed, affordable, and trusted telecommunication infrastructure through fiber to the home, fiber optic ring, broadband internet, fiber optic submarine, cable connectivity, and setting up of a third fiber optic submarine cable, which will link Rodrigues, Mauritius to submarine cables in the Southeast African region. We are also implementing at the level of the ministry a national innovation program, which has been elaborated by my ministry in collaboration with the Mauritius Research Council. The National Innovation Framework will be launched after it will be finalized. Already 21 grant schemes have been formulated under this program. We are also implementing a comprehensive capacity building program for the development of talents in an economy driven by innovation. The framework is still in its draft form. 1,000 young people will be trained as a budgetary measure in 2016-17. Discussions are in progress with Oracle for the setting up of an Oracle Center of Excellence in Mauritius. We have also signed a memorandum of understanding with IBM for the provision of IBM Middle East and Africa modules to university students on a 24/7 accessible cloud. We are also positioning Mauritius as a globally competitive and attractive ICT BPO destination. Mauritius wants to move up the value chain and target high-end BPO activities like knowledge process outsourcing, accountancy process outsourcing, medical process outsourcing, and legal process outsourcing. Convergys is one of the leaders in KPO, is setting up an office in Mauritius in 2017. We also have Credit Fixed, which has opened a branch in Mauritius and employing 40 professionals serving Credit Crunch clients in the UK. Under the e-government initiatives, several projects are being implemented in the field of education, health, and mobile applications. With regard to Internet of Things, the ministry will soon be rolling out our mobile apps employing around Internet of Things. For example, smart parking is an example of such application. We're also having open data. The ministry has developed an open data policy, and datasets will soon be released on the National Open Data Portal. In terms of nanotechnology, the ministry is working on a roadmap for the development of nanotechnology. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Afrinic maintains the registry of Internet Protocol addresses for the African region. The pool of IP4 addresses is shrinking rapidly, like the CEO just said, and the President, and will not be available. Hence, organizations like government, Internet service providers, private sector companies will all have to migrate to IPv6. And we just heard about the CEO, about the benefits which the implementation of IPv6 will bring to the users of the system. IPv6 deployment is increasing its momentum globally, and IPv4 address absorption is approaching rapidly. Many parts of the world are engaged in efforts to increase broadband penetration. More smartphones and networking-ready services are entering the market, and the sheer number of internet users is steadily increasing. Hence, we need to secure a larger supply of global IP addresses to maintain the sustainable long-term development of a ubiquitous and open internet. We're almost there. Technical, business, and government sectors have been preparing for the Internet Protocol version for over a decade. Technological information has become the key to business success in the 21st century. From mobile apps to non-traditional computing devices populating the Internet of Things, business rely on IT's ability to deliver new services to both end users and customers. Key service providers and content suppliers are deploying IPv6 capabilities on their infrastructure. Numerous governments, through partnership with the private and civil sectors, are actively engaged in activities designed to ensure that the citizens have internet access via the new protocol. End users are usually or almost universally equipped with IPv6 ready computer operating system. Meanwhile, the Internet technical community is proactively involved in a range of cooperative initiatives to raise awareness and prepare the technical infrastructure for large-scale IPv6 adoption. Such deployment is vital to the continued growth and stability of the Internet. Key organizations are implementing IPv6 ready network to ensure that all regions and sectors have access to the equipment and education necessary to join the IPv6 Internet, which will be the lifeblood of all services we wish to connect. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the world, the commercial sector is embracing IPv6. While Internet traffic via IPv6 is still significantly less than IPv4, there has been an increase in the speed of deployment as market leaders such as Google and Microsoft deploy IPv6 in their products and in their network. Like other areas of strategic investment, which lead to new levels of productivity, great mission success, and citizen access to government, IPv6 integration must be prioritized at all levels with a well-phased approach. We are certainly aware that sooner or later IPv6 will become a necessity for proper communication on the Internet. So government has realized that it is high time for us to embark on this IPv6 for a new horizon, and in this respect, we are grateful to Afrinic for assisting my ministry and the Government Online Center to prepare a roadmap to transit its network to IPv6. The introduction of IPv6 provides enhanced features that were not tightly designed or scalable in IPv4, like IP mobility, ad hoc services, and inbuilt security, catering for the extreme scenario where IP becomes a commodity service, enabling lowest cost networking deployment of large-scale sector networks, RFID, I myself, I don't really know what that is, IP in the car, to any imaginable scenario where networking adds value to community. On another note, the smart cities concept, which we are doing in Mauritius, as well as the smart nation concept, are taking a good deal of attention around the world, especially with the drive of public-private partnership concept aggregating different efforts together. Ladies and gentlemen, Internet of Things is a key enabler for the realization of present and future smart cities, which makes the interaction between smart things and the digital world possible. This interaction, powered by data analysis, can massively influence real-world entities and elements of the smart city ecosystem to provide real-time feedback and actions for a more livable society with enhanced quality of life. With the Internet of Things, all of us must plan for the migration to IPv6. There are however, a number of implications for such migration. The ministry, through the Government Online Center, has approached Afrinic to discuss about a roadmap on how best to migrate government systems located at the GOC onto the IPv6. Similarly, a roadmap will have to be worked out for all companies migrating